Nightmare mode. It's back, and it's badder than ever? Well, in the sense that it is incredibly broken, yes. I mean, oh boy. Alright, but I'll be getting to that soon enough. So here's what the deal is now. Instead of it being just jam-packed with enemies and every enemy doing 1,000,000 hit points of damage, what happens now is that Nightmare mode, all 4 cells active, instead gives you points of infection upon being hit by an enemy. Which, hey, number 1, I called that. Oh yeah! But 2, oh god, the usual strategy of stacking up as much survival as possible and then just tanking your way through everything, not gonna work as well anymore. So what I opted to go for here was more of a tactics build, because tactics is one of the best ways that you can deal a lot of damage at once, and killing enemies means that they can't hit you, as well as, you know, a lot of ranged attacks and damage that you don't have to be anywhere near enemies to do. Additionally, it's going to be the simplest route possible because, well, I can't get hit. If I get hit, you can only get hit, I believe it's 10 times. You can get 10 points of infection, and then you start taking constant damage until you die. Now, you just saw that there, though. I got 2 points of infection. You can see them right above my health bar. How, though? Because I didn't get hit by anything. I'm still at full health. Well, as it turns out, the infection mechanic is kind of super broken right now. And I think anything that is considered, I don't know, your ally that gets hit, for example, turrets, also take infection points. And they will take infection points, and when you get to max infection, whatever the last thing that was hit takes all of the infection point damage. So if you have 10 infection points and you get hit, you die. If you have 10 infection points and your turret gets hit, your turret dies. And then it's reset. I mean, you can see right now how the infection points keep going up and down constantly. Oh boy, motion twin. This is a problem here. So I think that also extends to other allies that you can get, like biters, but either way, you know, the ability to be able to control how the turrets get put out and utilized means that you can kind of control infection, but it's also, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's this weird mix that you gotta do of making sure that the last infection point is being hit by your turret or something, because also infection points just seem to raise and lower randomly as far as I can tell. Oh, it is a mess. But anyway, there is also some other new content. You can now cure infection points by eating non-tainted food. I have not seen any tainted food, but I guess they exist. Or drinking from your flask. So, hey, that's nice. I mean, that's a nice way to be able to get stuff down. Also, a lot of stuff is in English now, so it's not nearly as much of the mess that it was before. Also, new lore stuff. Stuff I can't read, but it's new. I think each one of the new areas and the in-between areas has some different stuff to say based on when you... I don't know if it's based on anything, but it just seems like it randomly pulls out a couple lines about the area now. Or maybe it doesn't, because I don't know French. I'm sorry. Slowly getting better and better at it. I mean, the fact that I now know that malediction is apparently whatever the word they're using for curse. That was the only reason that I knew that when I got the acceptance mutation in the last video. Yeah, here's something that I was trying to do where I'm like, okay, if I get this turret killed, will I just be cleared of all of the points of infection? Unfortunately, the ball and chain hit it out of the way, and turrets don't take damage from spikes for whatever reason, so that's... yeah, too bad. I was trying to see if it's like, come on, can you do anything about that? No? You sure? I mean, what if I did this? And no, not nearly as effective. Yeah, because of the weird way that this whole infection mechanic was going to work, I had the... well, let's just go with this. There is always one option to me to play significantly better than I usually do, and that is going slowly. It is the secret forbidden technique that I never actually want to pull out because that doesn't make for a very good video. But with it being so broken right now, I think I had no choice. Oh boy. Also getting there. So yeah, this is gonna be a slow one comparatively, and a lot more. Oh yeah, here's where I tried to just like, okay, so if I, you know, quote unquote destroy a turret by throwing out a second one, does that clear my infection? No, the turret has to die from infection or something. I don't know. It is utterly bizarre. Oh, but yeah, this is pretty much exactly what I was thinking that like 5-cell mode was going to be like, because, you know, with the infection mechanic being pretty underutilized in the game up until this point, it was just the mini bosses in the castle, the 3 bosses that you get the castle keys from. There wasn't too much in the game. There were a lot of people that didn't even realize what those numbers over your head were doing. And I was thinking that, you know, if you weren't going to go full on one hit, one kill, then this would be the way to really disincentivize getting hit, certainly. But I don't know. It's also so broken that I can't give a proper reaction to. So is this good or bad or like a decent compromise, too difficult? Because it's just the infection bar just keeps raising and lowering randomly. I don't know. Oh, just wait until I get to the castle. Enemies like spinners, or more specifically Guardian Knights in the castle, will just do all the points of infection on you immediately, and then that just turns you into literally pretty much being cursed. Nah, still doesn't do damage if you throw turrets into a spike pit. Too bad. And here's where I took the opportunity to switch up the... It's called Barnacle in French, or the new translation. I'm not even entirely sure. It's kind of hard to say. There are some things that have been changed up in this translation that might be sticking around, might not. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, the ceiling turret there is not going to do me any good against the incomplete one fight, so I decided to get this one just as future-proofing for the run. And speaking of future-proofing for the run, I did grab the heart mutation because that will provide me one chance against instant death due to the infection mechanic. Even though, as it stands, I have no idea when I would actually get hit by the infection mechanic or not. And because this is a new update to the alpha version, unfortunately I did lose my... Oh, yes. I lost it, tough skin, hard skin, whatever... Somebody said it in the comments and I've already forgotten it. And acceptance, so I don't have the 2 new mutations in the game. So anyway, here I finally got it so that the turret could be killed, like for real. Unfortunately, did not clear myself of infection. Apparently the turret has to either die of infection or something else. I don't know. And you can see that cleared it, so I guess that's what happened. Oof, I have no idea. It is such bizarre nonsense. I have, like, no words for it. But yeah, I think that if I was going to be doing this run more legitimately, I probably would take a spike guard because I can't... I need to save the potion charges for either clearing out infection points or, well, healing. You know, either... Both of the things would be pretty useful. And then I would rather take a, what is the word I'm thinking of? I would rather have less curses on me than healing from curses at this point. I think that would be one of the better mutations that I could take for a run like this, to try to get... Man, that Bombardier is being irritating. I don't even think I want to take that. I just want to, like, look at it and probably sell it. Because things are still very expensive. I don't think they're as expensive because, boy, were they crazy expensive before in 4-cell mode, but either that or having things upgraded has given me a lot more money so I can actually afford stuff now. I think by the end of this, I do have like 300,000 or so gold. So getting things upgraded, if you get a decent mix, like a good build that you want to stick with, is not too difficult. Of course, I also got really, really lucky in this run with some amazing drops, including the cheater necklace, which I did take because I'm going to take as many opportunities as possible when it comes to this sort of shenanigans. But I ended up dropping because I forgot that, right, I was carrying... That was on that necklace that I was carrying. Anyway, I'll get to that eventually. You know, I said before that survival meta was back, and I don't think that's as true with this, because one of the big things with survival, with taking a lot of survival, is that you get survival. You can survive a lot. Maybe if there was a mutation in the game that allowed you to, I don't know, clear out points of... Maybe it's like a survival mutation and allows you to, every X amount of kills, clear out infection. And that could be something that you unlock, for example, for doing a 4-cell mode run, or, I don't know, some sort of crazy shenanigans. Like getting the acceptance mutation. Oh, that was bad. That's also why I want a Spike Guard in this, because although I don't have, I think it's called Tough Skin, actually. Although I don't have it right now, I would have probably taken it just because I don't want to die to traps, and I die to traps so often, it's crazy. But yeah, like, an increased amount of survival, and then, like, every X amount based on whatever your current amount of survival is. A lot like how you healed with the vampirism mutation. You can get healing for killing so many enemies. Maybe you also can get some infection relief as well, or something like that. Just so that the main thing about being able to tank hits with survival is at least somewhat, maybe not incentivized, but not punished. For example, one of the earlier items that I saw in this run, like the first thing that I recycled, I think, was a frontline shield. And the frontline shield is, yeah, no longer the ramparts, but the roofs. But the frontline shield is a good shield if you want to hunker down and, you know, sit in a corner while you have something like ceiling turrets doing all the work for you. You could not possibly do that in this mode because you lose the ability to tank hits at all. I mean, you can tank hits certainly to some extent, but to the extent that you would be able to sit in a corner and block stuff with your shield would just not be possible because of how the... Well, if the infection mechanic was actually working, perhaps that would be conceivably how it would work. But here, I don't know, you could also bait them into hitting your... You could have turrets deactivated far away from you and then have them kill turrets to reset that, and then you could use the frontline shield. Oh, man, This is a strange time. It's a rare time in Dead Cells where things are, like, genuinely pretty dang broken, so... Theorycrafting kind of goes out the window and it's replaced by insanity here. Okay, going into the ramparts and especially the fog fjord are two good places to be able to lower your amount of infection because you can down a bunch of food. At least, I mean, obviously that did down all of my infection, but there is supposed to be, like, tainted food in this. It still heals you, but it also gives you points of infection instead of healing points of infection. So maybe it's just rare, maybe it's broken and they're not appearing in the game right now, but I don't think I actually saw any. Or maybe I did see one, but I don't think it actually worked like it was supposed to. Or maybe that was the turrets tanking hits and making it so that infection was going all crazy, wacky nonsense. It's... Like I said, Theorycrafting just entirely out the window. I have no idea. Just relax and enjoy this run. Let's just go with that. Castle also got a good amount of changes, so that'll be a fun thing to talk about too. Very Rogue Legacy, because they put a bunch of pictures in the background now, with a bunch of dumb references to other games. Which is, as much as I poo-poo that, whatever, that's fine. That's a cute little way to do that sort of reference without making it too in your face, I guess. Yes, for somebody that revels in memes such as myself, it's surprising that when I see it in a game, I don't like it. But you know, what can I say? This is just garbage commentary that is not supposed to stand the test of time. I'm not committing it into a full video game that you expect to pay money for. I'm not a huge fan of getting hounded by this elite cannibal, but it's working out okay so far. And I accidentally jumped up in there. I didn't even see that. Wrenching Whip. I have been putting off doing that run for so long now because new content keeps coming out. Whether it's the Cursed Sword, or you want to do some stuff with the Death Orb, or you want to do stuff with four cell runs, I seem to never be able to get one of those runs down, set in stone, and commentated over here. Well. Ice Shock. I think compared to most items, Ice Shock is actually a pretty decent pickup here, largely because what you can do is you can use it to slow down enemies while turrets take care of them, which means that you will be less in harm's way. Slower enemies means you can run away from them easier, and the turrets means that you're passively doing damage to them anyway. It's a pretty decent combo. Additionally, a lot of turrets have a what's the word I'm thinking of? They have an affix that gives you deploying oil on, or covering enemies in oil upon deployment, so that you can actually get some pretty decent damage with Ice Shock if enemies are covered in oil. If they're not, it's the most minimal damage possible, but you know, that's always been how Ice Shock works. So I think this is one of the few times that usually I don't like the slowing because it makes enemies less predictable, but if I'm going to be doing passive damage anyway with the turrets, I think I can justify using it a little bit more. Yeah, get used to those messages just appearing constantly, because I can't stop it. I don't control these enemies, I just control their fate after they die. Or to die, or I don't even know what I'm saying. Also, I had a comment in the last video that apparently one of the affixes that you can now get with turrets is that they will provide you with a shield upon deployment, which according to the person there, like totally trivializes doing the hand fight and stuff like that, which is interesting. I have said many times before that the current affixes that you get on turrets are already extremely powerful and the best in the game, I would say. So to give it something like an invincibility shield on deployment is, I don't know, it's insanity. But you know what? I'm not balancing the game, so I don't know. I know that there are also a decent amount of other new affixes that I failed to cover in the previous video because, well, first off, they were not in English, so I didn't really understand them. And second off, a lot of them I didn't actually see until I was doing a couple of these 4-cell runs. Like ones where you get in speed buff, the speed bonus for killing an enemy, or using something like a knife storm or a denial wave. Yeah, if you utilize though, you'll actually get like a little bit of a speed bonus, which can be extremely useful for just moving around. You know, popping a random denial wave just to be able to move faster is something I'm super down with. 2 thumbs up on that one. But it's also ones that I'm certainly going to have to experience a lot more, and there are certainly going to be a lot more fixes to this particular update before I can start to really understand how common or uncommon these affixes are, especially the invincibility shield one, which is, I did not know about that while doing this run, but I think that if I knew about it, while I was doing this, I would probably go to the Reforger and get the Guion 2.0 and get and make sure that I got both of my turrets with that affix, because that is incredibly powerful. Invincibility shields are some of the most, they're some of the rarest things that you see in this game. You get them from what? Emergency triage and Emergency triage, a very brief one after you get hit by an enemy when you're holding a shield. Tonics. Tonic gives you that. As well as using a force shield. Yeah, parrying something with a force shield will also give you that. And while rare, I think they're also some of the most important... I've talked before about how tonic is something you can use only once in a biome, and you have to get out of biome before you can use it again. But I've gotten a lot of respect for it because... Well, I've gained a lot of respect for it because I think that even just having the option of giving yourself a small amount of invincibility after using an item like that is extremely powerful. It's pretty much a panic button. And although I have not seen this affix, and I may, I guess I'll say this right now, I may be totally misunderstanding exactly how it works. I think it is also an interesting idea to think that if that were to be in the game, something like the bear trap, similarly, would also be very, very good, being a tactics scale or survival scaling item that would get you good defense and offensive capabilities with it. It says teleport yourself now. I do kind of like the weird retranslation that a lot of these things, that a lot of parts of the game have gotten with this new update. It's unusual, and it sort of messes with someone like me who really likes to, know the proper name to call things when you're playing the game or whatever. I mean, I'm the sort of person that will literally go on Mario Wiki and look up all the names of the enemies to know, like, okay, I know that this thing is called a lungefish now. Now I feel good about myself. Now my compulsive nature has been satisfied for just a couple more seconds. But nah, I'm always going to be like prioritizing gameplay over just about anything else, but I do like learning the lore of stuff and learning about... Okay, I guess getting the little biters that you summon getting hit do not count towards getting infection points or something. I don't know, but yeah, I always like learning lore, even though I don't think that it's something that's... It's not something that I prioritize, but I always like doing it anyway. Yeah, that's what I'll say here. Something else I think I noticed was that I think that you have different points of infection if you go inside sub-areas like the cell doors versus not being in the cell doors. It's really hard to tell because my infection level keeps going up and down constantly in such a weird way that I don't know. Because when I went through the door to the Black Bridge here, I had 0 points of infection, and now I'm up to 6 or something. I don't even know what the best affix would be for a firebrand. I mean, I was thinking, I got enough money. I can throw a couple bucks that way, but what would be the best? I'm trying to even think right now. I got no idea what would even be the best affix to have there. Incomplete one does not stand a chance. I have stunning. I have slowing. I have fire, which does a whole ton of extra damage on him here. When it comes to the incomplete one, look at those points of infection. Just, it's nonsense. Just insanity. But yeah, the biggest issue. Ooh. The biggest issue when it comes to... I could have actually taken that. Fighting the incomplete one when you have really high damage like that is him getting you in a corner and then hitting you with the damage field, the damage aura. Progress got reset, but if I'm gonna be doing a slow 4-cell run, I cannot believe I actually got in that door too. I'm gonna be doing a slow 4-cell run. I'm gonna be getting plenty of cells to be able to upgrade stuff. So at least for this weekend, before they hopefully fix 4-cell mode on Monday, I got a decent way into... Oh, it's a Forge of Shadows now. Decent way into getting the Forge fully upgraded. Forge of Shadows. I remember seeing that somebody said that it wasn't really called the Fog Fjord, that the French version had a totally different name, but I never knew what it was. There you go. Ugh. But yeah, that's pretty much how every one of these fights is going to go right up until I get to the hand fight. This is what happens when you build really high tactics, and at this point is when I would probably start. That was, oh god, that was a bunch of not ideal circumstances there. At least this is what I was talking about, where having a food shop in the fjord here gives you a pretty decent advantage. Also, I guess the fact that the alienation only heals you for 10% is entirely due to the fact that they planned for the acceptance to exist, so that instead of getting a full 100% heal, because there's nothing that gives you anything less than 10 curse normally, unless you have acceptance now. Honestly, I think that if I was going to pick what would be the ideal loadout of mutations, at least non-boss mutations, I would probably go with Spike Shield, so that I can pretty safely do challenge rooms as much as possible, get as many stats from there, as well as acceptance and alienation. Get the heals, that's good for heals, and that's good for heals and good for not dying to curses, I suppose. Yeah, this I think would be about the point in time that I want to start maybe thinking about building more. Oh, yeah, this is when I didn't, and yet again, I didn't even realize that I had the invisibility necklace here. But yeah, starting building some survival, but I'm going huge damage, and I think that that's going to be more worthwhile in the end. Even if that does put me at a risk of dying to the King's Hand. Even before this, I did a couple no-cell runs where all I did was get to the hand and just dodge around him for like 10 minutes, so I'm trying to grind that fight out a little bit better. Maybe finally get back to the old how-to series, so I can finally cover the castle update, the King's Hand update properly. Of course, there's already a new update, so who knows even. Well, there's already a new update coming out soon. Perhaps the final update, which will be likely done over a month or so, but hey, got some time. So yeah, here's where I decided that I was going to be a super scumbag and just use the invisibility. Because, come on. This is... Hey, you play the game, or the game plays you. And I'm gonna say that the game ain't playing fair, so I won't either. Yeah, don't worry, I pretty quickly forget that the affix is related to the necklace, and then I switch it out for another necklace, and then I'm like, hey, wait a second, why am I not getting invisible anymore? Of course, that's kind of how it goes, isn't it? Ain't that always how it seems to go? You don't know what you got till it's gone. Paid paradise, put up a party. And invisible. Okay. Hey, I told you this was going to be a slow run. Think of it like a nice slow-cooked ham. It takes a while, but you know what? It's worth it in the end. Like a little dab of Dijon mustard on there. Swiss. On rye, of course. You know what? Just give me a Reuben, actually. I want a Reuben sandwich right now. I don't know why I'm being so meticulous with that. It's not really that necessary. Also, you can just walk through doors because that does not count as attacking, unlike rolling through them. But yeah, what are you gonna do? Still, a number one priority is still trying to get through the also, wow, what a pickup! And especially as soon as I bought that through that was a mistake. And especially as soon as I bought that through the shop there, to get that right after it. But yeah, number one priority is still getting to the food shop to allegedly lower infection, kind of, sort of, not really. But also to get myself out of having absolutely no health. Yep, and here's where I forget, oh hey, wait a second, I just sold that necklace. You idiot. That was the cheater one. How often does it appear? More often because there's a lot of elites in 4-cell mode, but I mean, it's still not super common. And yeah, there I was checking to see, so are any of these going to give me extra infection points? Because that could kill me. And it's like, nah, they're all cool. Obviously keeping the diet on Baguette for right now, because I gotta rep the new stuff, even though I will eventually, in all likelihood, go back to Fruit and maybe the occasional Castlevanias, because I like that one. I think one of the best things that I got about this legendary pyrotechnics is that it also inflicts enemies with oil, which just gives me an automatic critical hit on any enemy that I hit more than once. That's insanely good. It's an item that perpetuates its own critical condition. That is a 1 in a million type of thing. Although maybe less so now that there was the infection. And that's why I took the heart. And now I cannot justify going to the next area because I don't have, one, the protection of the heart, protection from infection, to put it in a more sing-songy way. And additionally, I'm pretty low on health because the heart doesn't give you too much health to go on after you lose it. Oof. Here is where I was getting a little worried. And of course, with the way this functions, it's pretty much like you still never want to get hit because you're never gonna. It's an unpredictable amount of infection that you're gonna have at any one point in time because of how it's currently working. So, any hit that you get could be your last. But yeah, I think that you could start to get some of these like super good, super crazy sort of affixes a little bit more often now that you have the reforger in between levels, but you still have to have the money to be able to reforge those in the first place. So, you know, there's definitely a give and take, I suppose, there. I think if I was going to have any choice in this, I would say that you should charge like cells, not gold, to reforge your weapons. Because those are a bit more difficult to come by, for one. And two, still not infected. And two, they also are, like, you're not going to store up an infinity pile, so that when you need them, they're still useless at this point. So that when you need them, you really need them, and that can be like a serious issue. And when you don't need them, then the choice to get rid of them becomes easy and pretty trivial to make. Just something that I can do with the cells when I get everything fully upgraded, because it's already coming again. This is maybe half a dozen runs at most that I did here in this new update, and I'm nearly already fully upgraded on everything again. Just a little bit of careful play to make sure that I get the, not infection, the curse levels down. I was surprised that the pirate captain there didn't happen to see and shoot a cannonball at me, like that one up there did. But whatever, it worked out in my favor ultimately. I was just thinking that pirate captain was going to see, when I had everything set up, the pirate captain was going to see me and then immediately kill me. But not actually the case. I opted to not go to the clock tower this time, although I could not find where the entrance of the Sepulcher was. It almost made me think in this patch that they might have taken it out. No, it was just over here. But yeah, I want to go to the Sepulcher because although you do have to deal with the darkness mechanic, and that can be really obnoxious, you don't have to deal with bombardiers as much. which will take more than a few hits compared to the kamikaze bats and the occasional shocker. The shockers are really the only thing that I would worry a lot about in 4-cell mode. And now that 4-cell mode isn't... Well, it's still pretty packed with enemies, but it's not as packed with enemies. It's a lot less annoying to go through. You're not going to see as many shockers, is what I'm saying. Also the cannibals, also the whole vertical oriented, which vertical orientation means you do tend to go through a little bit slower, and that enemies like trackers have a lot more opportunities to hit you. There is, well, last I checked, the legendary items cannot be reforged. Trying to reforge them just wastes your money. Not that I would want to do that with that anyway, because that has an amazing... The 20% critical damage is amazing. The apply oil is ultimate top tier. There's nothing I hate about that one. I mean, could I conceivably have a better one? Sure, but do I want to spend the time, resources, all that looking for it? Nope. All right. And I was actually surprisingly close to getting that time door anyway, which is weird because I have been going extremely slowly. Did you see those points where I just stopped moving to see if I could get invisibility back on, even though that was not possible here? Yeah, the only really real thing that I would worry about in this area is getting hit by too many Inquisitors as I'm going through. This is also where I decided, you know what, infection doesn't actually matter. I will stack up a little bit of damage reduction if possible. If I can get 2 stats on Cudgel, If I can get 2 stats on a shield, 2 survival, as well as something like a force shield, which gives you the invincibility bubble, which I've already talked about how powerful that is. That could be a game changer for this run. This run that is already extremely good with some of the best items that I've maybe ever gotten in this game's history. But, you know, I mean, it's... Hey, runs can always be better, you know? Apparently trackers are now called black trackers, so, I don't know. I guess having the imperative "the" on the name was a little awkward anyway, but... I mean, although I'm already trying as hard as possible to play the game like that, it should be pretty obvious that I'm not as successful as I would like to be in that regard. So, I'm gonna say nope, not today. Really, when I was thinking about, okay, how am I gonna deal with, well, before I realized that infection was total garbage nonsense in this update, I was thinking, how am I going to deal with infection? And I was considering going full on no hit against the hand and pretty much taking in corrupted healing so that I could continue to down potions at full health and then use emergency triage and scum it out that way. But obviously things changed pretty quickly as I realized how the infection mechanic was maybe not working the most effectively. And even then, I think that if I took this route, you have a lot of options to relieve yourself of infection points through the 2 food shops that you'll hit. So it's not terrible. I don't think the infection mechanic is as terrible as I initially thought it was going to be, is what I'm saying. I mean, certainly it's questionably better and worse at the same time with the way that it's currently implemented, because any hit could be the full infection rate, but at the same time, you also don't... Most times, your hits are not going to be at the full infection rate, so... It makes no sense, is what I'm saying, I guess. I guess the only thing to really do at this point is... Like, I don't think I'm going to change up this build at all. Maybe getting a better shield could be good, but... I don't know. Aside from that, Ice Bow is a fantastic pickup. I don't know. I mean, this is like I said, this is maybe one of the best runs that I've ever had in terms of items. So it's really hard to say what I would even want to spend money on. There's no real rerolls for modifiers or for affixes or different items. I would say almost at all. Everything syncs up pretty well with the burn, as well as the oil application and the extra critical damage that I'm getting from pyrotechnics. It's all very powerful, and and my health isn't even all that bad either. It's not amazing or anything. Taking some darkness damage there, but that's not that big of a deal. It's manageable. Whatever. I'm at a pretty low infection rate. I don't need to worry too much about my turrets getting hit. Turrets could get hit with infection even before this update. I thought that was kind of a weird thing where you could see that the little green number with the skull would appear over the turret's head, and I'm like, huh, well, that's goofy. There's no point where that would actually come into play. Oh, well, I was wrong. Well, it's pretty much a straight shot to the end. I could have probably gone for a few of the cursed chests. I think, well, at least half, if not most, of the cell doors in this area contain cursed chests, so I could have easily gone for some cursed chests. But at the same time, it's not that necessary. Yeah, I can easily upgrade that in the next, or not upgrade that, reroll those modifiers in the next area, and it is a higher level, so, you know, overall a lot better. Overall has the potential of being a lot better, and I have enough money to be able to reroll the affixes on that easily. So, even though I didn't technically need to take it, that's the sort of upgrade that I'm talking about, where if I come across it and it's better, sure, but I don't think anything is necessary to take at this point. It's all good. It's all gravy. It's all gravy on the top of an already delicious meal. Additionally, you might have noticed that the gold doors now, at least for getting cells, are no longer extremely ludicrously expensive for getting only like 10 cells. So I can appreciate that a lot. It has made it so it's finally worth opening up those doors if you still have some grinding to do. That's one of those changes that probably should have been in the game a long time ago. And with the exception of every time there's a new update, usually it's something that I don't even think about. But you know what? If the opportunity presents itself, why not? Yeah, I don't even know what I was looking for here. I just said, give me something, maybe I'll find something good. Pyrotechnics is one of my favorite weapons to use. I mean, I'd say it's definitely up there, even though it has lost a lot of usefulness now that Tactics doesn't give you nearly as much health. But in a run like this, it's still doing more than its fair share of work. And hey, there's the first Shocker that I've seen, and he's not even at a place where not even at a place where it matters. I can run right past him. And then teleport away from him immediately, too. Good stuff, good stuff. So there is a little bit of lucky generation with this, too, but I've also always said that when it comes to high cell difficulties, when you get to the end game, you usually have a good enough build that you're not as worried about dying to something stupid. It becomes less about the items that you're getting and more about how well you can play the game. Because you kind of at least have control over what you're doing, what you have here, rather than floundering around, trying to dodge around, seeing if you can muster up just enough money to get a decent, I don't know, weapon or skill or whatever in the early game. It's like here, nah, it's just kind of, you know, roll with the punches, see if you find something better, but other than that, it's all good. Yep, that was a bad hit. It's a good thing that my infection wasn't high, because that could have easily been a game ender. And unfortunately, unless I want to get myself cursed, there's no real easy way to get healing for the rest of the game. It's all about... Well, I suppose I could give Vampirism a really lucky drop of... Oh, this is also some bad generation comparatively. Well, compared to the rest of Sepulcher. Well, compared to the rest of Sepulchers thus far. Not like I've never seen stuff like this before. Also, hey, accidentally going into secret areas again. Whoops. But yeah, unless I want to get myself cursed, I don't think that's... I don't think there was any real easy way to heal up here. Oh well, blowing one flask charge isn't that big of a deal. And if I switch out Alienation, which I don't even want to use at this point anyway, for emergency triage, then I can get, well, yeah, obviously. And there's the burning target. Emergency triage, and then I can get one use of that here and make sure that I can get a perfect fight against the assassin pretty easily. No, this is all going pretty well for a run at this point. I was expecting this to be so much worse when I saw, hey, look, you're gonna get infected each time you get hit. There's enough ways to mitigate it. And enough ways to not get hit by it. At least there would be if it wasn't broken right now. So it's not terrible. I am fully expecting 5-cell mode to take out the whole infection relief by getting... Or infection relief through, what do you call it, food entirely. Because that's kind of how they did it with healing options in the game previously. Oh, maybe we just make it so that food never appears, something like that. So the two legendary weapons that I've gotten from bosses right now have been Knife Storm and Throwing Knife. That's interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's those are some of the best bleed skills and items that you can possibly get. But it's weird that it's not fitting in with the run I'm doing. I guess maybe I could have taken it instead of having the KO shield or the bludgeon or whatever it's called now. But at the same time, I think that the damage reduction has been doing me pretty good. And here's where we get pictures now. Who's that guy supposed to be? I don't know. He's holding one of those flame things like the spider girl in the Sepulcher is. So does that mean anything? Is that who you're playing? Probably not. I don't know. Man, this is such a bad area to start out right in. I very nearly got scythed there by that catcher. And that could have been bad. Also, I saw that there. That is straight up the coiled sword bonfire thing that is from Dark Souls. Like wearing your influences on your sleeves a little bit more than usual. All very Rogue Legacy is what this reminds me of. Because you see stuff like pictures of Gyan in the background too. Which, Rogue Legacy did pretty much the exact same thing, even with... Oh, that's a decent item, too. Yeah, Rogue Legacy did pretty much the exact same thing, even when... obviously not the best affixes on it, though. Even when they were showing off previous games that the developers had made, and then that would turn into a mini-boss because it was a giant portrait. Spider-Girl there, some kind of plague doctor. Picture on the left that I don't recognize. Could be a reference to another game. There's the Scream up there. Yeah, I mean Barnacle's fine because the hand fight has a ceiling in it, so that I would get a pretty decent amount of usage out of that. And also having something completely invincible, like a ceiling turret, will help me not get infected all the time by this weird glitch that's happening here. Yeah, even with this pretty decent build that I got going on here, it's not perfect. Got Tomb Raider lady in the background there. That picture is straight up the art for Firewatch. I recognize that. Never played Firewatch. It seemed like one of those games that I probably wouldn't be too into. Yep, slow going. Of course, if there's any point in time that you could do a slow run, I think it's about now. This is one of the most ideal builds that I've gotten for it anyway. Yep. This is the type of gameplay that I want to avoid so very much. Especially against the Guardian Knights there, which will set me to full on infection level immediately with how they, function. So I want to be double extra careful around those guys. Yep, yeah, no, it's never stops. Never, ever stops. Hey, I managed to get the barnacle right in the middle of the... Hey, there you go. I managed to get the barnacle embedded in the wall there. It was weird. But yeah, there was... I'm pretty much rocking like the ideal set now. It's insane. This luck has been... And like every other one of the... This luck's just been unreal. And every other one of the runs that I've done here has like petered out at the promenade. So the fact that I'm still getting good stuff even this late into the game is just crazy to me. Yeah, no, I'm not risking it. I think that it is... about 2 flash charges is what I need to beat the hand consistently, so that's fine. And honestly, I probably could have also taken that vampirism if I felt like it. The healing could have been good, but I'm also not planning to get hit anymore, even if that means that it has to get really boring as far as the gameplay goes. Legendary Ice Bow. Legendary Ice Bow at castle levels. That is an amazing pickup. And a croissant there, too. Which, in general, a pretty good pickup, because croissants are delicious. That was a weird glitch. What, did he throw his spear through the wall? Man. Also, did that one say that it was infected? Because it didn't give me a point of infection. I swear I saw one that said that, but I have no idea. Anyway, back to the bonfire picture area, which is, I guess, what I'm calling this place now. And doesn't even matter because it was a very tiny alcove with a single door in it anyway. It would have been totally worthwhile to go down there if I even looked at it for 5 seconds more. I was just so disgusted by this reference to Dark Souls. Oh. Now that is super hypocritical. Hypocritical. Yeah, freezing and that freezing is going to be especially good against the hand fight, because I know that if he, especially in his second form, if I'm too close to him and I think he's going to queue up like his thrust into dive attack combo, which is the one that I probably have the most trouble dodging, I can just shoot him with the ice bow and then not even worry about it. And look at that infection go. And that's where I realized, oh god, Guardian Knights are way more of a thing than I thought they were going to be. So that's why I just kind of figure, okay, I'm going to sacrifice one of my turrets on the altar of getting rid of this infection, because I don't know otherwise. And there we go. And then it got hit by a Guardian Knight again, putting me right back up to full infection. Alright, try that again. And there. Back to 0 infection, so good enough. Hey, look, it's the weird Eldritch Fisherman from the original, from the pre-Brutal update ending of the game. I wonder if he's ever going to come back in any way. I hope so. And not just in picture form. Oh, gotta get rid of that Guardian Knight. Or just not allow the turret that can get hit to get hit by that guy. That would also be equally as effective. No, don't go in there. Oh, yes. Yeah, there we go. That's a weird generation on the left there. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to climb up the wall, but it's like, nah, it wouldn't work. Oh, well. This is also a time where it's like, I don't need to go for 3 keys. I have a decently powerful enough run as it is. Look, I don't even want to go down here. I just wanted to go into this area to be able to get my turrets back up to be used again. Nah, there's the infection one more time. Yeah, just hit it with that. That'll get the extra infection on there and then not have me get back up to full. It's not difficult to actually bait out the sword swing from the Guardian Knight. You just have to be very, very close to them. Although I think they're usually programmed to start out with a whirling blade, but then anytime you're close to them after that, they'll immediately go into their big swings, their giant swings. We'll just kill it. Yeah, at this point, I'm just saying, where's the exit? I think I'm okay for fighting the no, and it's already done. And unfortunately didn't get the kill there. So then I decided to go in here and see if I could sacrifice a turret easily. Did not happen, so hey, look, Nier Automata reference. Got tubes and 2S there. Or 9S? 9S. I have not played that game. I own it. I am well aware of the Drakengard franchise, but oh yeah, that one had the infection on it. And I'm like, okay, did it infect me anymore? I don't know, and I can't tell because it's too wacky crazy in this update. Oh well. But yeah, I'll play that eventually. I don't know. Oh, this should be about it, though. I believe that the exit is right around this area here. Not quite here. This just leads down to more cells, which, you know, I'm not going to say no to more cells. I do need to have things upgraded, after all. And now that everything's not super expensive and I have nearly 500,000 gold, there's no reason not to take it. There's the blueprint for acceptance, but I couldn't possibly get it anyway. Yeah, and after doing a full clear of the castle, which, if this is not the time for a full clear of the castle, I mean, I guess I didn't go into the mortuary, but what do you want from me? Finally get to the end here. And managed not to get a full bar of infection this time. Jeez. And just one more volley of dudes to get rid of, and oh, they said that the King's Hand now has a proper throne room. The throne room actually looks like a throne room for real this time. So that's nice at least. Is that Firewatch, I was about to say poster again. I think that's a little, that's not quite, that's a pretty good affix. Not quite the same thing if you're in a castle to call something on the wall a poster. Anyway, throne room, let's go. Yep, still that. This is not a throne room. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's awesome, but like, there's no ceiling here. This kind of ruins the whole barnacle plan that I had. But hey, I was wondering when they were actually going to put this, because they were using this as the art for the King's Hand update, even though it never actually appeared anywhere in the game. But now it does. Hooray! So, number one priority here, never get hit by anything because, oh god, I don't know how much infection I'm going to have at any point in time. I'm going to guess a lot of it, but I don't know. How could you know? I'll be here all day. That's what it takes. I like the little ice platforms they got going on there. That's cool. Yeah, just to make sure that I wasn't going to get hit by the attack there. By the grenade attack, I decide to blow one of my flask charges, one, to make sure that I got maximum amount of damage as possible. And two, also use one of the ice bow charges. Remember, the ice bow gets less effective over time, so although I technically can hit him as much as I want, I'm not going to be able to freeze him forever. And okay. Alright. Pretty good second round. Usually the second phase is the hardest point in time because his enormous dive attack is so hugely telegraphed and comparatively easy to dodge that I think it actually makes him a little bit easier in the third round. Because the only other thing that gets upgraded for the King's Hand is his dash attack. Ooh, that's some bad hits. And that wastes a lot of time on my invincibility because I blew a flask charge there. Oh well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, and that's not too difficult to dodge. Whereas like his giant dive attack, I think is pretty easy to dodge because it's so slow. So yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna go full on. Just all the ice bow attacks. Just all of the... Oh, and it wasn't even necessary. It's already done. And while that's cool, not really all that necessary here. Pretty great background. Yeah, nah, I don't think there would be anything up there anyway. But hey, finally get to see that area. Still don't know where the weird robot thing that they had in the promotional art is supposed to be. But hey, I got the second bar now fully upgraded, so getting a lot more plus weaponry now. I'd say, all in all, pretty good run. Not the best run, certainly, because a lot of weird stuff to be said here. But you know what? I think I managed it okay. What a weird update.